over the years, Patty, we have had some really unlevel campsites.
Yeah.
And so I thought today we would talk about, number one, how do you define an unlevel campsite? And number two, what can you do to correct it, if at all? In this episode of Travels with Delaney,
the podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back. My name's Patrick.
Hi, Patty.
We are joined today on the old podcast couch.
Puppies.
That's right, we've got Mr. Truman Marshall.
And Miss Bessie Truman. Or Miss Bessie.
Bessie Truman. Did you get a new middle name, Bess?
Let me say that again. Bessie and Margaret.
Bess and Margaret.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, they are our Cavalier King Charles Spaniels. They're 6 years old.
Brother and sister halvesies.
Halvesies, that's right. They have the same father, but different mama.
Rough and Ready Rudy, which Truman lives up to that name.
April was the month of birth for Truman, and September 1st was
Miss Little Bessie.
Yeah, so I just thought today, Patty, because we had an incident here at the campground today.
Did. Yep, I heard all about it.
Yeah, where Kevin, our owner, just the nicest guy in the world.
Oh my gosh.
Was driving by, saw a guy setting up his camper. Kevin asked him how it was going.
And the guy unloaded on him.
The guy unloaded on him with F-bombs about how unlevel the site was.
So uncool.
And Kevin, kept his cool and said, can I help you? Could I go get some boards?
Yep.
And proceeded to get a few more F-bombs, I guess. And then finally Kevin said, let me call Angie.
Change sites.
She's up in the office, got him moved over. I think he's all good. Kevin said he drove by. The guy was giving him the thumbs up.
Weird.
Which is really odd because honestly, the site he was on, none of our sites here are super unlevel.
Yeah, they're pretty balanced, I think.
67 and 69, I will admit, have a slight incline. 71, which is right beside 69, maybe just a touch, but not bad at all. And it got me thinking about what is level.
Yeah.
And then also, what can you do to try to level your RV?
Well, and I'm thinking of our situation that we're going to talk about, and none of these sites are in the category that we're going to talk about of unlevel, because I can remember sites that were pretty janky that we were trying
I know,
to get
and we're going to
leveled.
talk about those, but before we do, we have to do another exciting round of this or that. Not this week, Patty. Not so fast, my friend.
Darn it.
So this week, Patty,
Yes.
if you are given the choice, would you rather be set up at Hilton National RV Resort, a true glamping experience, full hookups, lazy river pool, restaurant, bar, or would you rather be set up in the upper Teton view, no hookups, but a little bit of privacy, hopefully, and some amazing views of the Grand Tetons.
Oh my gosh, this is a toughie.
I know, because they're both
both awesome. Oh my gosh. This is tough. Golly. I love them both. They are both awesome. They
totally different experiences.
They are. One you're off the grid, one you're in the grid. And golly, I think I'd go with Grand Teton View.
Grand Teton View
That
for the win.
view, you just can't pass that up. I mean, we've been there a few times, and it's a rough ride to get up to it.
It is a rough ride to get up to the upper
might
Teton
lose
View.
an axle here or there.
What's an axle, right? For a good view?
But the view is so cool. And what's cool about there is just the blue sky. And you see the mountains. And we were there like in July, and there's snow on the mountain, which you can see.
Yeah.
And it's just cool temperatures for one. It never gets super hot there. And yeah, you're off the grid. You got to be self-contained in your water and all that. But I think I'm going with that one.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I have always said that has been my absolute favorite location that we've ever camped.
It's ranked up there with one of mine. I have another one that I always
Okay,
think of
what's
too.
that?
Deception Pass.
Oh, Deception Pass was really good out in Washington.
And Snoqualmie Falls.
Yeah, but we really, the thing about Deception Pass is we really lucked into that site.
We did get very lucky.
I'll never forget that when we checked, when we were setting up, the guy beside us was like, isn't this view amazing? I'm like, it is. And he's like, we booked ours 12 months ago or whatever it was at midnight. And he's like, when did you book yours? I'm like, yesterday. Because apparently somebody had canceled last minute and we got the site.
Well, at that time we had our tab.
Yeah.
Which you could fit into any little nook and cranny.
Yeah.
And we had this upper, like on a hill, in some trees,
looking down on the water.
Yes.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And the Naval Air Base was nearby.
Yeah.
And it was like Top Gun City, and you could hear the jets
Patty
just
loves that.
loved. And they were doing some kind of training and everything, but you had cool trails. Remember that place you could walk, and there was like a railroad track or a bridge or something?
The bridge.
The bridge.
Yeah, it was just a car.
Just a car bridge.
Yeah.
It was so cool. There, it was just, and we lucked out that day.
Yeah, that was a good one. And the other one I always think of is camping on the beach in Texas. Like
that was cool.
That was pretty amazing
That's
too.
An experience.
But I will say, Tetons by far
is awesome.
The problem was the last time we were there, which was in 2020.
It was hard to get where we needed.
There
to
were
be,
so many people
there. A lot
there.
of people that had found this gem.
And you know whose fault it is?
Yeah.
It's ours.
It's ours.
Because I've had people leave comments on our video saying, you YouTubers are ruining it for all of us. Like there were certain people who had land ownership on government land or something. I don't know. But anyway, well, that is a tough one because Hilton National, the whole glamping experience is pretty good too.
Yeah, that one is pretty cool. It has other ways of it being pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, today I want to talk about getting your RV level. Now, last Sunday, I put out a video on Travels with Lynn.
Yeah.
On stabilizing your RV. Because, you know, nobody really likes walking in your RV and feeling it rocking. Yeah. But leveling is a whole different subject. And the only reason we're talking about it this week is because of what happened today out in the campground here, where a gentleman was really rude to Kevin.
Just downright
and, you know, I told Kevin, I'm like, I wouldn't take it personally.
Yeah.
Because most likely there's something going on in that person's life to be that rude.
Well, to strike out at somebody
who's trying to help you. Yeah. And first of all, there's never a reason to drop F-bombs in a campground at somebody who's coming up trying to be nice to you.
And it's not like these sites, I mean, these sites are nice. These sites have nothing going for them when we think about Unlevel.
Yeah.
These things are so nice.
And well, I agree with you. So first of all, we are a campground that is gravel-based. That's what I started calling us today. We're a gravel-based campground.
Did you make that up?
I did make that up. Our campground here is gravel roads and gravel sites.
Yep.
And so here's the thing, we can make them level in the spring, but by this time of the fall, they have been driven on, they have been rained on, there has been wind. I mean, there's all kinds of things. And there are a couple sites that we have noted in our reservation system, 67, 69 come to mind. They do have a slight incline. They're fine for travel trailers and fifth wheels. Motorhomes they don't work for because your tires end up off the ground, which we try, you know, nobody wants their tires off the ground. 71 has a minor slight, and I really honestly think if this gentleman had pulled forward just a little bit or backed up, he would have solved this problem. Yeah. But all he had to do, tonight is a Wednesday night. We have plenty of sites in this park. And to lash out at somebody who's driving around in a golf cart just being nice is ridiculous. Yeah. And so ultimately what Kevin did was, besides keeping his cool, was he called Angie in the store. Angie said, you know what, move him right across the street to 70 maybe, or 72, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And he pulled over there, and that one is perfectly level for the most part. And then Kevin said he drove by later in the day, and the guy was giving him like the thumbs up, and yeah. So, but it made me think, and this is why we're recording this podcast, because I'm like, I could show this guy Unlevel.
We could seriously, this is not Unlevel.
And honestly, level is a perception.
It is what you view as level.
Right.
Yeah.
And first of all, I'd like to say that I have had sites at Walt Disney World where every site is paved.
And it's still unlevel.
And it's still unlevel. Because asphalt settles over time. Concrete can settle over time.
Your dad's an asphalt guy.
He is a concrete guy, or an asphalt guy. He's not a concrete guy. No concrete, my family.
Yeah.
We are an asphalt family. My father, for those of you that don't know, was a road construction foreman his entire life.
He knows
and he knows his asphalt. Okay? And
that's funny.
Yeah, that is funny. But so asphalt does settle, and I think concrete can crack, and, concrete cracks and things like that. So I'm just saying that even if we were paved, and here's the problem. We also had a complaint today about the dust in our park. You can't control the dust. It's the time of year. Everything is dry. We have not had rain. We have not had a significant rain in like 2 weeks. What do they want us to do? We can't make it rain. And, well, you know what they want us to do is they want us to pave the campground.
But do they have the money?
Exactly. If we pave the campground, those $50 sites become like $150, $200 a night.
Are they willing
Because
to pay?
asphalt and concrete is not cheap. So anyway,
Absolutely.
I digress
Rant.
dust. Okay. Let's go back to level though. So here was the thing. I thought this was interesting. He says to Kevin, my tires are almost off the ground.
Almost
is not off the ground.
Oh my gosh.
I was almost gonna go to Dartmouth, but I didn't. So
this sounds like something a fifth grader would tell me.
okay,
Wait,
if you're the person I'm talking about and you're listening and you're getting really angry right now, settle down, Buster. Like, think about what you did today. You cussed out somebody who was just trying to help you on a site that was honestly
Not
so
that bad.
level compared to some of our worst sites.
Yeah,
So
we
let's
had
talk about some of
bad
our.
ones.
So let's talk about some of our. What is one that comes to mind for you?
Horse Cave, Kentucky.
Horse Cave, Kentucky. Let's talk about Horse Cave, Kentucky. Oh my gosh, are we fired up today?
That one, I remember we had our big old fifth wheel.
Yes, it was honestly, we had our fifth wheel.
Yeah. It was at night.
Was it our first trip with the fifth wheel?
It
might have been one of the first trips. We get to Horse Cave, Kentucky. It is dark out. The campground is closed.
Yes.
I make a wrong turn getting to the site, and it's going downhill.
Yeah. And we
Do you
have
remember
this
that?
1,000-pound,
10,000
pound
fifth wheel.
I'll get my numbers right.
So I try to back up, and I
the
kill the
truck
truck.
dies.
The truck dies. I'm
We're
like,
what?
this is bad. Luckily, Patty is reading the map and says, I think if you go just a little bit farther, there's a road where you can cut across, go back up, and come around. So we do, thank goodness. We get into this so-called pull-through site.
But
it's more like a pull-off site.
It's kind of you just slide off.
You just kind of slide off the road. And at that point, this site was so unlevel left to right.
We didn't care, we're so tired.
And we should talk about level. There is level left to right and
front
there's front back.
I know this.
The gentleman today was upset about front to back.
Okay.
So left to right, we were so unlevel.
But I think I needed to have a seatbelt strapped me into the
Oh
bed.
my God. And we were so tired that night.
I
and
didn't care.
we were stressed because we had I thought I'd killed the truck. And
we thought we ruined something.
And so we ended up sleeping. I swear, Patty and I were I was rolling
to the top.
I was like rolling into Patty the whole night.
We're like crying.
That, my friend, is unlevel. Okay, I can think of another one. Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
We're on our way to a family reunion in Ocean City, Maryland.
Beautiful state park.
Beautiful state park in Pennsylvania.
Gorgeous.
But we get to our site, and this is the days of the hummingbird.
Yeah.
Which we affectionately called
Buzz.
This site was so unlevel that first I put my Anderson levelers under it and didn't even come close. This was a left to right issue again. Hey, do you remember this?
Yes.
So I get out orange blocks because we were carrying both.
We're trying.
We tried 2 orange blocks.
No.
We tried 3 orange blocks. No.
It was so janked up.
I think we were on like 4 or 5, which is against against the manufacturer's recommended number of orange blocks.
We were ready for a flood.
Oh my gosh.
And getting out, you're like, you didn't want to,
and it was on the door side, so like literally you had to jump out of the RV because you'd go down. I think that RV had 1 step. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That, my friend, is on level.
Yeah.
Now it's not always left to right with Patty and I. Sometimes it is front to back. Do you remember the one front to back that was crazy? Harrison Lake State Park. I want to say it was like site number 2.
You remember the number?
Well, I may be off. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
But I remember we got over there.
Yeah.
I backed in.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember this?
Yes.
It was with our Lance.
Yes.
I had to raise the tongue jack
so high,
and I still couldn't get level. So
we were so afraid that thing was just going to fall. The front was just going to go.
So we weren't completely level front to back, but this thing was fully extended. And I remember every time we'd go in the RV, we would walk so gently because we were so afraid that jack on the front was going to let go.
And boom.
And the bed in our Lance was at the
right
front.
There.
I mean, it was like we crawled into bed and it was like, be very careful. Because you could feel the whole trailer rocking.
It's like, don't take a deep breath. No one move. Don't roll over.
Yeah. And
go to sleep.
that, my friend, is unlevel
Level.
front to north to
Those are
south or
unlevel.
front to back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we have seen some really, really unlevel sites over there, and I often wonder when people come to a campground like ours, and you know there's somebody at Walt Disney World going up and screaming at a desk clerk about how unlevel their site is.
Who has nothing to do with it.
Right, because they had to put like 2 orange blocks under their tire. I mean, it's just.
No.
I just.
You have to strap yourself in with some ratchet straps or seat belts or get some hooks here and hold on while you're. That's a problem.
That's a problem. So we could show you unlevel, and I just. And again, I understand. Nobody wants their tires off the ground because we don't.
And we get it. You've probably been driving. You're tired.
Right.
But come on, have a little humanity.
Maybe we should have titled this podcast, something about don't be a jerk when you're at the campground, because it seems like we're focusing on the gentleman that was so mean to Kevin.
Well,
and Kevin's
so
like the nicest guy in the world.
Kevin thinks everybody's so nice.
I know. Every time Kevin comes up to the store,
nicest guy.
He'll be like, I just met Site 71, nicest people I've ever met. Like every person he meets is a nice person until today.
Well, I'm sure
today when he showed up, he was not saying that person was the nicest person in the world.
I bet.
In fact,
to say something specific.
Honestly, as many F-bombs that were apparently dropped, he almost thought the person was British.
Ah, okay.
Because in Britain, Lawrence and Natalie say that's just like a common word.
That's just language, yeah.
Here in the U.S., that's
not so much.
Not so much. No bueno.
No le bene.
No le bene. So anyway, you might say, well, guys, Patrick, how did you get level in those really odd situations?
We
didn't. Okay. But if you want to get level, now we use some different things. We use some different things.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will just go out and buy boards and carry boards with them. We don't do that. We're a little more fancy. Yeah, we're a little more fancy.
We like the little Lego things sometimes.
The Lego blocks do work well. Ours are now officially like old. I'm trying to calculate in my head how old they are. Well, I want to say those things were probably purchased back in like 2006.
Yeah, they're probably
which means they are probably so brittle.
Yeah, they're gonna crack.
But we do have a lot of Legos, as I like to call them, the orange block, stacking block. Sometimes I use those because they do work well. Because you can connect them and that type of thing.
We've used the Anderson
the Anderson leveler.
Levelers.
Yeah, well, the Anderson leveler for your wheels.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of the Andersons because unlike the Legos where you either go up 1 block or you go up 2 blocks or maybe 3 blocks.
This one you drive on.
You drive on it so you can get it more exact.
Now we have had issues with those a little bit if you're on asphalt or concrete that slide.
Or even I think we've slid on grass.
Have we?
Yeah.
They come on wet grass. They kind of.
My understanding is the new Anderson levelers come with like some kind of like rubber that you put under them that will prevent that from happening. Yeah. But the problem with the Andersons is when you're in those really bad sites like we've been.
It doesn't work.
Well, because they only go up so many inches and
it doesn't work.
Can't get level. But if it's just slightly off, like at Disney, where you're just slightly off, I can back onto our Andersons and get really good level. Now the nice thing is with our 2024 Alliance Avenue 29RL fifth wheel, we have a leveling system.
Yep.
Not stabilizers, but a leveling system.
And even then, sometimes you have to override the system to get us
better.
Yeah, it's not perfect.
And I also, like most motorhome owners, I don't want
wheels off
the ground.
I just feel weird.
Yeah. So if we're that far off left or right, then I usually will put either a Lego block under or an Anderson leveler under, and then let the system do its thing from there. But now you mentioned the Anderson buckets. We used to use that when we had a travel trailer, and the bucket would go under with the Lance. Under the tongue, the tongue jack, and that would then allow us to put the tongue jack down and not have to go all the way to the ground.
When you have to extend that so far, you feel like you're like in a pedestal.
Yeah, I remember Harrison Lake. We had that bucket down and we were fully extended.
It was crazy.
How we did not.
It looked so goofy.
We did wheel chalk though.
We did.
We wheel chalk because we knew we just felt like we were going to roll down the hill into the camper on the other side of the street.
And there's a lake there, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I don't think we were headed towards the lake.
No, we could have cut.
We could have.
Could have gotten momentum.
That's right. So yeah, I don't know why I wanted to talk about that. I guess because of what happened today in the campground. But I'm like, I said to Patty, I'm like, don't you remember all like we have had, more. And I'm sure there's more.
Well, I can think of like when we stopped at Cracker Barrels and things like that. Sometimes those parking lots aren't the best.
No, and there we don't try to level because we feel like we're just in the parking lot.
Usually we just deal with it and just go sleep.
Yeah.
So.
But I don't go cursing out the Cracker Barrel manager for not having a level parking lot.
That parking lot is get out there and fix that. No,
but I guess the point I'm trying to make too is that we're a $50 to $60 a night campground on most nights, and even Disney when they're at $150 to $250 a night, we've been at Disney where you're not level. Yeah. And that's okay. I mean, because it happens. I mean, it's not that we're trying. I mean, I just think there's some really level sites and campgrounds.
Well, it's just the ground. Ground moves. Water.
Well, that's just it. I mean, we go through. The thing is, we do go through in the spring and try to level all the sites out. But
if you think about like when frost and freeze and all that happens, stuff moves.
I'm so proud of you for understanding basic physics of land.
I am a teacher. I
know you are. So,
I used to teach science.
Well, Jim, I told Jim last week, and Jim, by the way, for those of you who don't know, Jim is our friend. He is our editor, producer. He is our everything when it comes to this podcast and makes it sound great. But I apologized to Jim last week because I said we were a little low energy in that episode.
We were tired.
Because we recorded that, I think, on Saturday night, which put him in a real bind. Yeah, and he had to edit that on Sunday so we could post it on our Monday.
And he did.
He did. But I think this week, we have made up for the energy level from last week. And
this is all natural.
This is all natural.
This is nothing. Well, you have a fun drink.
Well, I would say this is all thanks to Old Forester, but they're not an official sponsor yet of the podcast. But Old Forester, if you're listening, you could be a sponsor. We would love
there you
that.
go.
Anyway, well, but we can't say enough thank you to Jim for making this possible because again, he's the one on the audio side that goes through and just makes these things. Yep. Make them sound perfect, doesn't it? And thank you to all of you, because again, you take 20 to 30 minutes out of your...
battle on.
Yeah. And if it wasn't for you, I guess we would just be sitting here babbling to ourselves.
With headsets on.
That's right. We do that sometimes. Patty likes the headset. We'll just sit around here talking to each other.
I thought if I had one of these at school with a little microphone, that'd be great.
This could be your next career.
What's that?
Wearing a headset at McDonald's.
Oh, would you like fries with that?
Would you like fries with that?
Sir, would you want that biggie size? Do you want the meal?
I think we should
Do you want
wrap
that
this
extra
up.
crispy?
We should wrap this
that's
up.
The other place, that's KFC.
All right, everyone. Well, let us know in the comments, especially over on the dedicated YouTube channel, Travels with Delaney.
What's the podcast?
Well, you screwed that up. I think you've been drinking.
Try it out.
Over on our dedicated podcast channel, Travels with Delaney.
The podcast.
Leave us a comment down below. Let us know what's the worst site you've ever been on.
What janky sites have you been on?
That's level. And have you been like us where you literally felt like you needed to strap yourself in because you were going to fall out of bed because it was so unlevel?
Yep.
All right, everybody. Until next time, we'll see you.
On down the road.
Bye.
Travels with Delaney. We'll see you on down the road.